We did have some big news coming out of the NBA today that kind of like ends an off-season long saga. Like, will the Utah Jazz trade Lauri Markkanen? If they trade him, where's he going to go? The Golden State Warriors had long been rumored as a potential suitor and destination for Lauri Markkanen, which maybe would have helped like Steph Curry and Draymond Green kind of reload, and Steve Kerr reload for maybe one last run at an NBA championship. Well, Lauri Markkanen ain't going anywhere. Signs an extension today to stay in Utah with the Jazz. That effectively takes him out of the trade market for the next 2 seasons, which is relevant only like if you're interested in like the NBA like we are. But this is a betting show, so that doesn't matter like what's going to happen in 2025. Ken, for 2024, Lauri Markkanen will be a member of the Utah Jazz. So this can be a thought that you have on Utah this year. Like, can they exceed expectations in a very tough Western Conference? We can give thoughts on the Warriors now. Win total of 43.5. We know Lowry won't be going there. Jonathan Kuminga, most improved player. You would think that this helps Kuminga now with Markkanen not coming to Golden State. So anything that you've got for us here, as much or as little, Lauri Markkanen staying in Utah with the Jazz.
Yeah, I saw the notification just like you did, and probably just like you do also. I, immediately run through like markets in my head where like, all right, is that going to be affected? Is that going to be affected? Is that going to be affected? This is one of those stories where when the notification comes out, even though, Markkanen's an all-star, like a pretty big time player. And you mentioned the Warriors had been connected to him for a long time. Despite that, you go through all the markets and you go, all right, what's moving here? What's interesting as a result of this? Is there a market that's going to move that maybe I can try to solve before everybody else does, or that I'll see move when I open up my sports book? There just really isn't that. Utah is one of those funny teams that's just in kind of betting market purgatory. You know they're going to be pretty bad. They're completely irrelevant for any award, basically, because their ceiling is so capped probably by the players on their team. They obviously have no one who's going to win MVP. Their defense won't be good enough to have a Defensive Player of the Year nominee. Their coach won't win enough games to win Coach of the Year. Their sixth man will be on a bad team, so he can't win Sixth Man of the Year. Markkanen already won Most Improved Player. He's the A guy. The likelihood they produce Most Improved Player is extremely low. I mean, you just knock these guys off the list. Like Clutch Player of the Year. Like, the team's going to be great in clutch games because of who? Markkanen? Like, what is there to do? What award is left? There isn't one.
So Utah's win total is 27.5, and trying to like solve what Utah's going to be this year. Just like I read on The Athletic, like Shams' column, right, when he broke the news about Markkanen, and the whole thing with the Jazz is, like, they know that they're not going to be great this season. Right. Also, the win total's 27.5. But Markkanen, kind of like his family, like his wife, like, they love the community. Like, they love, like what Danny Ainge is building in Utah. So, like, he expects them to not be good. My guess is Danny Ainge is, and you can be really dumb. You don't have to be smart to have this opinion, to be an NBA general manager. Like, this is probably a year where you can kind of bring out your inner Will Ford. Oh, baby, you want to be bad. Like, this is the year. Like, you don't want to be bad last year so you can get Zachary Risachet with the number 1 overall pick. You want to be bad this year so you can capture that flag. Or, and like, I don't claim to be in the weeds on high school NBA players or, like, European prospects, but based on what everyone says, like, this is, like, what going to be a great NBA draft headlined by Duke freshman Cooper Flag. My guess is that Utah's going to try and be really bad at some point. Like, what's the expression that we use on the show? Like, pull the cord? Like, they'll pull it at some point,
yeah,
and
sure.
Or let go of the rope, and just be really bad.
Yeah.
I think for like a lot of teams like that, I think under is a good bet for that reason. No, like, would you? I'm also not saying I'm going to rush out to bet this, but I think if I had to, I think I'd bet the under because Ainge is really smart, and I think he's going to want to be in these sweepstakes coming up next year for the NBA draft because they know they're not winning this year anyway.
That's all the stuff that's not the Warriors, just to start there. The Warriors was like the first thing that you brought up with this. Like, I think it was the thing that interested you the most. Like, does it change something for you? Were you thinking about the Warriors as like a title team if they got Markkanen? And so this kind of subdued that, and now you're on to other things. What was your first thought when this came out?
When you and I did, before we both went on vacation, we did that show. It was great. Like, we did one show, Eastern Conference, one team, Western Conference, like all the win totals, giving like quick thoughts on all of them. My thought on Golden State was, if I'm going to bet this win total, I'm going to bet under. I'm going to bet under 43.5 with Golden State, where Clay's obviously now in Dallas. And like, they made a couple signings, like here's Kyle Anderson and DeAnthony Melton and Buddy Hield, like great. Steph, obviously like an all-time great, but probably like coming towards the end. Draymond's really unreliable. And it's a bunch of young players, and like some are good, Jonathan Kuminga, and some are like they're hoping are going to be good, Moses Moody, Pods. Are they actually going to be really good? Are they going to be good this year? And the Western Conference is freaking loaded, man. I would have liked Golden State more. I don't think they're a title contender with Lowry Mark, a serious title contender, but you would have liked them more. But now without him, it feels like they need a lot to go right to be good this season. Like Curry's got to be like really good and stay healthy. Draymond can't like punch anyone in the face or put anyone in a headlock. You need Kuminga to take a step forward, and maybe you have a thought on most improved player where he's like the third choice on the board. And you need like some of these young players like to be really good in order for them to go over this win total, or like have a good season this year, achieve a high outcome. So I find myself, Ken, a little down on the, and Curry's also playing right now in the Olympics, and Steve Kerr's coaching there. I'm a little down on the Golden State Warriors, and Markkanen not going there kind of reinforces that opinion for me.
Yeah, I don't blame you for thinking that. It's a move that definitely would have some impact. These things tend to be pretty basic for me. The win total for an NBA team is just so inextricably linked to how many games and at what level your number one player plays at. And for the most part, if you look at last season in the NBA, like this will be accurate. Like, you know who the teams who won a lot of games are? It's like, all right, like SGA was one of the best players in the league, and the Thunder were the 1 seed, and Jokic won the MVP, and the Nuggets were the 2 seed. And you go down to like Luka had an outstanding season, and they were whatever, like a playoff team that was out of the play-in tournament. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum combined were this, and the Celtics were really good. It's so often just like your best player, they're this, so therefore you're this within a certain range. And for the Warriors, the biggest problem is just going to be that Curry's career age arc is just on the way down, and he's an all-time great player. You could put him in whatever tier you want, top 20, top 15, whatever it is, top 50, however you evaluate him, he's like one of the best players in the history of the league. But how many games and at what level? And if the answer at this point in the career is 60 to 65 at a level of being the 15th best player in the league, that's 43 and a half, or maybe it's worse than that if he misses a few more games. And that's all it is. That's all kind of all that's going on for me with that. Yeah, the second best player is important, building around the fringes. This is what the Celtics were so good at last year. Yeah, we have Tatum and Brown. Also, we have the best third, fourth, and fifth player like in the history of basketball in a starting lineup. They were able to kind of break the system and win a lot of games. But I mean, how good's your A guy? Where is he in his career? How many games does he typically play? This would be where Embiid would come into play, like not many games, but when he does, he plays at a high level, stuff like that. And you'll kind of get the record of the team a lot of times. So, yeah, if they got Markkanen, would it matter? Sure. Team would definitely be some amount better, no question, especially like, losing Klay Thompson in the offseason. But just 43 and a half to me is just, Curry 5 years ago and Curry Durant together, forget about it. Like, okay, that's a 59 and a half, and that's a 56 and a half. And then as he kind of plays a little less, gets a little older, they're a little worse. He's a little worse. Now it's a 46 and a half. Now it's a 44 and a half. It's almost a referendum on kind of where the best player is at in their career. There are a couple exceptions to that in the league, but I think in general, that's a good way to think about it.
Set a market. How many games into this coming season will it be announced that Draymond Green is signed with Amazon as part of their NBA coverage?
That's a good question. Maybe it depends on how the season's going. If it's going like 500 or worse, it could be Valentine's Day. It could be earlier, it could be Christmas. But if they're really good, maybe not.
I said this off air. I know it would never happen, and there's like financial difficulties involved, like presented with this. Like the Warriors should trade him. Like they have all these young players. They're not winning the championship this year. They should find a way to trade Steph Curry. They would, and I know that they would never do it. I know it's not going to happen, but I think they should. Like that's the best team. They're not winning the championship. Like, they're not winning another championship with him. Not with this team. It's not happening.
Yeah, this team. You can very confidently say like this team's not winning the title. Like it's not happening. So hate to be the bearer of bad news. And I love Curry. I think he's awesome. Just not going to win.
What could the Knicks trade for him? I have no first-round picks.
Empire State Building.
Give them all to Brooklyn. Right. I got no love for the Empire
Various
State Building.
Museums, right? Yes.
Bay Area can have it.